Imagine a world without a summer. Imagine seeing snow fall in the middle of July, while your children shiver from the cold. Imagine looking at the sky and seeing a weak, strange sun, often hidden by a perpetual haze that never leaves. This is not a science fiction movie. This happened. In 1816, the entire world was plunged into a mini ice age. People starved to death, riots broke out, and panic gripped nations. They didn't know why it was happening, but they felt it was the end of the world. And in the midst of all that darkness, in a villa isolated by the storm, the most famous monster in history would be born. The cause of all this was not divine punishment or an astronomical event. It was something much more terrestrial and violent. A year earlier, on April 5, 1815, on the other side of the world, in what is now Indonesia, the volcano Tambora produced the largest eruption in recorded human history. The explosion was so colossal it was heard 2,600 kilometers away. It launched over 150 cubic kilometers of ash, rock, and, most importantly, sulfur dioxide into the stratosphere. In the days following the explosion, the darkness was total. The sun disappeared for the region's inhabitants, and the sea was covered with immense floating islands of pumice that hindered navigation. But the most deceptive effect was aesthetic. For the next 3 years, the veil of ash in the stratosphere caused sunsets of spectacular and unnatural beauty around the world. Artists in Europe, like J.M.W. Turner, were fascinated and painted those red and orange skies, unaware they were documenting the colors of a catastrophe that was slowly freezing the planet. The veil of sulfur aerosols spread like an invisible plague across the globe, blocking sunlight and causing global temperatures to plummet. The domino effect was immediate and global. This map of chaos shows us the scale of the catastrophe. In North America, they called it 1800 and froze to death. An Arctic cold front swept the east coast in the middle of June, causing frost that destroyed all the crops. In Europe, incessant, torrential rains led to catastrophic floods. The Rhine and Danube rivers overflowed, washing away entire towns. Grain prices skyrocketed in France and Ireland, causing bread riots and mass famines. In Asia, the monsoon failed. The lack of rain in India led to a devastating drought, followed by a new and virulent strain of cholera that, fueled by the chaos, would go on to kill millions in the following decades. In a matter of months, the entire planet was plunged into a climate crisis, and no one understood why. But to feel the true dimension of the disaster, we must leave the maps and experience it firsthand. Now you are in Vermont, New England. You are a farmer and a family man. The previous year, the war against the British finally ended. You expected peace and prosperity. Instead, you got hell. It is June 1816. You should be watching your cornfields grow under the sun. Instead, you are watching snowfall. A brutal, unnatural frost has covered everything in white. Your corn shoots, once green and promising, are now black, frozen specters. You have lost everything. Hunger is not far behind. The price of grain, if you can even find it, has multiplied tenfold. Your family survives on nettle soup, boiled hedgehogs, and the occasional fish you managed to pull from the frozen river. But hunger was not the only enemy. The worst part was watching the world you knew fall apart. Communities that once helped each other now closed themselves off. The neighbor who lent you a tool last year now looks at you with suspicion, guarding his scarce provisions. Itinerant preachers began to appear in towns, shouting sermons about the apocalypse and the wrath of a vengeful God. Trust, the pillar of rural life, had evaporated, replaced by a cold, constant fear, not just of nature but of your own fellow man. One day, in desperation, you travel to the town to try to sell your father's yoke of oxen, a family heirloom. But the market is deserted. The faces of your neighbors are masks of hunger and distrust. You offer your team, but no one has money, and those who do are hoarding it. Money is worthless if there is no food to buy. You return home empty-handed, the sound of your children's cries echoing in your ears. It is a slow, frozen apocalypse. While you fight to keep from starving, the global climate catastrophe was having entirely unexpected cultural consequences. The cold and incessant rains of that year without a summer forced people indoors. And in one of those houses at the Villa Diodati by Lake Geneva in Switzerland, a group of young English writers was on holiday. The famous and scandalous poet Lord Byron, his personal physician John Polidori, and a young woman of just 18 named Mary Shelley, along with her future husband. Trapped in the villa by a wet, ungenial summer, as they described it, the wind howled and lightning illuminated the peaks of the Alps. They spent their evenings reading a collection of German ghost stories called Phantasmagoriana. One of those nights, to combat boredom, Lord Byron proposed a challenge, that each of them write their own horror story. That night, under the dark and stormy sky of 1816, Mary Shelley had a nightmare, a terrifying vision. As she herself later wrote, "I saw the pale student of unhallowed arts kneeling beside the thing he had put together. I saw the hideous phantasm of a man stretched out, and then, on the working of some powerful engine, show signs of life, and stir with an uneasy, half-vital motion." That vision, born from the boredom and anxiety of a dark, cold world, became the seed of Frankenstein. And he wasn't the only monster born that summer. In the same challenge, Polidori wrote The Vampire, the story that laid the foundation for the aristocratic vampire figure we know today. The monster and the vampire were not born in a laboratory, they were born in the heart of the volcanic winter. Thus, the connection becomes clear and astonishing. The eruption of a volcano in Indonesia injected sulfur into the atmosphere, which blocked the sunlight, causing a global winter. This winter led to the crop failures and famine that nearly killed you, the Vermont farmer, and at the same time forced Mary Shelley to lock herself away in a Swiss villa, where the gloom and boredom inspired her to create Frankenstein. A volcano, on the other side of the world, was the indirect father of the most famous monster in modern culture. This event leaves us with a chilling lesson about the fragility of our world. It shows how a single event in one corner of the planet can unleash a domino effect with unpredictable global consequences, affecting not only our survival but also our art, our stories, and our deepest fears. In our next video we will explore the year 536, known as the worst year to be alive. Do you dare to find out why? If this incredible chain of events has surprised you, subscribe and hit the bell. And now I ask you, what do you think would happen today if an event like this were to occur again? Tell me in the comments.